Hello everybody, this is Graeme, and today I'm going to be looking at a game called An Age Contrived. Now in this game, each player takes on the role of a god of the Eldranic pantheon, I don't know what that is, who get their powers from the belief of their followers. The players are supporting their mortals through building monuments, the pillars of civilization, and through lasting achievements. Now, if you just kind of zoned out and said, what are you talking about? I don't think you're alone in that. The theme is definitely a little different for this one. But the game boils down to collecting victory points, like many of them do. You'll do this by deploying your energy cubes to monuments to finish them off, claiming achievements, and deploying your energy cubes to the pillars of civilization to help out your believers. Now, the game's main mechanism is actually just action programming. You'll take several turns loading up your tiles in front of you, basically in your device, by pushing tiles in from the left, and when you're ready, one turn you'll be able to activate all those tiles in front of you, or as many as you want, in your device, as long as you've loaded them previously with energy and they still have energy on them. I don't think this intro is really making much sense, but will the game be an out there experience, or should it just be left like a forgotten idol? Let's get it to the table, see how it's played, then we'll come back for my final thoughts on An Age Contrived. Here is An Age Contrived set up for 3 players. Now there's no way I can go through all the rules, but enough to help you understand how the game plays. The board is set up with the number of monuments equal to the number of player count plus 1. You'll always use the beacon monument, but the other ones are random. Place the metal structures and the monument pieces in numerical order. Based on player count, remove some of the monument bonus tokens and randomly place the remaining beside the monuments. Randomly select 2 achievement tokens to fulfill the achievement track. For the transmuter tiles, remove tiles based on the player count, then stack them with the tier 1 on top and tier 3 on the bottom. Remove action token upgrades based on the player count, and place the conduit tokens in 3 piles based on the type with the 2 icon conduit on top of each pile. Randomly deal 1 quick start guide to each player to assign characters and to take all that character's components. Place your mini on the starting space of the region that is closest to you, place 2 of each of the energy tokens into the reserve, and the rest of your energy into your exhausted pool. Place your 3 bridge tokens on the numbered spots, and place your channel marker on its exhausted side. Your 1 to 5 transmuter tiles are placed in that order, left to right, and all transmuter tiles are always placed with the gold side up. The 2 0-numbered tiles go to the left of your player board. Fill up the transmuter tiles 1 to 3 with the energy from your exhausted pool based on the player count and on your quick start guide. Based on the player count, place the neutral bridges on the broken bridge spaces connecting each player's region to the central region. Now the game is played over a number of rounds until all the monuments are completed. Players will score points at the end of the game based on how much of their energy is bound to each monument, energy bound to the pillars of civilization. For getting your 3rd tier bridge token out, each player has a different 3rd tier scoring bridge tile, and for getting pairs of energy from your reserve and achievements. On a player's turn, they will do one of 2 main actions, either advance their transmutation device, or activate any or all of their transmutation tiles in their device. The first action is the advance action. Select one of the 2 inactive tiles you have to the left of your board and push it into your device. The tile that falls off the end is added to the inactive tiles to the left of your board. If there's ever any energy on that tile that falls off at the end, it just goes to your exhausted pool. If your channel marker is not exhausted, you can exhaust it to add another tile to your device, but then you have to exhaust your marker. During the game, you could receive conduit tokens. If, after pushing the tile in during your advanced action, the conduit token matches the transmutator tile below it, you get the appropriate benefit. I'm not going to go into the benefits, but there's just going to be bonus actions you can take. Once the new tile has been pushed in, you can load that tile, and that tile only, with energy of your choosing from your exhausted pool. If you used your channel marker to push a second tile in, you're going to load that one as well. Now if you ever need energy, you can pull energy back from just about anywhere on the board except for your bound achievement energy still in your reserve, or is part of a completed monument section. Now, instead of taking the advance action on your turn, you can run your device. Each tile on your device is over an action tile. You must have energy in the lower half of the tile to perform that action. The action itself will tell you which tiles you can use the upper energy from. To perform any action, you must remove energy from the bottom of the tile. So this deploy action allows you to deploy energy from the top of either one of these 2 tiles. Energy can be deployed to the tile pool, available spaces on a monument section, assuming that they match, or onto an achievement for which you qualify. And I'll talk more about the tile pool and monuments in a bit. Now instead of using the deploy action from here, you can also flip over your channel marker, that is, recharge it. The move action allows you to do one of the 3 listed actions. Either move your character on the board up to 2 spaces, or move up the monument or civilization tracks. If you move your person, you cannot turn around unless you're at a dead end. When moving your character, if you cross over a bridge or stop on a bridge, you perform the action listed on the bridge. If you instead move up either the monument track or the civilization track, either track takes an energy from the reserve and places it at the bottom position of your chosen track, or move an existing energy up one spot. You can only ever have one energy on each of these tracks. When it reaches the top, the next time you move, you can deploy that energy to either monument pool, if it came from the monument side, or a pillar of a civilization where you have presence. That is, either your character is there or you have a bridge in that area. The reposition action allows you to move around previously deployed energy, from the tide pool, incomplete monument section to an achievement. Note, you cannot move energy from an achievement. It is locked there for the entire game, but you can move stuff to an achievement using this action. The claim action allows you to claim up to 2 new transmutation tiles from the tile pool. The energy that you use must already be in the tile pool. Return the used energy to your exhausted pool and replace any of your current 7 tiles with this new tile. The replaced tile is out of the game. If you replace a tile in your device, the energy, if any, goes into your exhausted pool. It does not get redeployed. All the other players who already have energy in the tile pool when you take this action can, at the end of your turn, add a single energy to that tile pool. The last action space allows you to copy any of the first 4 actions. So those are the basic actions. You can go through various means to upgrade these actions to make them more powerful, but the basics actions are still the same. Now let's talk about the monuments. Each monument is divided into 4 or 5 sections and must be constructed in order. Each section will show you a number of energy and the type that must be deployed before it is complete. When all the slots are filled in that section, then at the end of the completing player's turn, the following steps are taken. Go clockwise from the person after the completing player. Each who has energy in the section will either gain the energy depicted on the monument section or the benefits from the benefit token. It doesn't matter how many energy tiles you contributed, you only get this once. The player will then either exhaust the energy or they can optionally activate it based on the type of energy. The completing player must leave one of their energy behind. They build the section and the completing player binds their left behind energy. If you bind a second energy to a single monument and you do not already have a monument patron token, take a matching one. If you have one of these patron tokens, after you take the advance action, you construct the topmost incomplete monument section. You do not have to have energy bound here, and no energy will be bound because of this, but it will be constructed to advance the game. The game ends when the last monument is built. The round is finished, then you go to final scoring. For retrieving matching energy from your reserve, you go to score points based on the number of pairs. For each monument, players score points for their bound energy. You'll score points for having bound energy to the Pillars of Civilization. Each player faction's level 3 bridge will have a unique way of scoring if it's out on the board. Score points for the achievements you have completed during the game and placed energy on, and some of these are going to be scoring points based on the energy you have bound to the achievement and your matching energy you've bound on the board somewhere. And finally, you score 1 point for each of your energy left in the tide pool. And the player with the most points is the winner. Let's get back to see what I thought about An Age Contrived. Let's start with the theme and components. The theme in this one is definitely different to say the least, which in my mind is a good thing. It doesn't really come into the gameplay at all, as the theme is not tied to any of the mechanisms, and although I do like that it's a different theme with a world and characters I've never heard of before, it doesn't really help with the teach or playing at all, and you can just be safely ignoring the theme because it's so superfluous, because it's not tied into what you're doing in the game. For the components, and I do only have the basic retail edition of the game, my one big complaint is actually the size. It is such a table hog for no real good reason. That main board could easily be half the size, as the map is really only used to move your mini around, which, it is an important piece of the game, is not the game's primary focus. Where your mini is on the map matters somewhat, but it's not the driving force. The metal structures are cool, but like any 3D structures in game I've played, it almost always interferes with someone's ability to see part of the game board. And there's no good option just to have, smaller cardboard pieces you could lay flat. You have to kind of build these 3D structures. Now, this is not to say I dislike the production. I love these energy pieces. I also really like the art in the game. The minis are really nice as well. The game, to me, does look stunning on the game board. The rulebook also does an adequate job of trying to make the learning game a little easier. It even has a section on how you can teach the game. Because as you saw from the overview, it's not that simple. There's an awful lot of interlocking gears. I also do like that each player gets a player guide, which does help with some of the iconography. As I found the iconography just not intuitive. I don't know how many times I've played the game. I still have a hard time remembering what all your energy does when it comes back. And luckily on your player sheet, it's all listed here. Now, let's talk about the gameplay. The game looks large and grandiose, but the gameplay feels somewhat smaller. And I am kind of torn on the gameplay. The idea of planning and having a great powerful turn is enticing. And when I get that turn, it's fantastic. I'm activating 3 or 4 actions, maybe with 2 energy on one so I can do even more actions. Deploying my energy, moving my mini around the board, finishing off a monument, and then at the end of my turn, some players get to decide if they want to activate their energy abilities from those completed sections and what they're going to be doing with those energy. And that's really a nice decision point as well. So those turns are fantastic. Unfortunately, they are few and far between in this game. The turns that aren't those fantastic turns are actually kind of dull and boring. Not that they're not useful. Planning on what you need to have where is definitely a fun puzzle. For a while, but that shine definitely quickly fades. And if other players are making their big powerful moves and you're not involved with them, as there's almost no player interaction in the game, then it's your turn and all you're doing is advance. It can be kind of, like I said, it's frustrating and dull. And there's also an awful lot of fiddly rules in this game. This rulebook is over 30 pages long, and honestly, I'm not sure why. Well, that's not true. I think I know why. This game can definitely use some pruning. It almost feels as if they want to get so much into this game, but I feel it might have been better if they actually kind of pulled some out and streamlined this, because you don't need all these little things in this game. Individually, all the elements do sound really interesting, and I enjoyed them kind of on their own, but just all together, the game just kind of felt a little underwhelming. And for how much I like planning in games, oftentimes someone beat me to the goal and the game then ended up being more of a tactical game than a strategic game. So my downtime in between turns could have been spent planning, but they're not as useful because I kind of need to see the board state on my turn before I decide what my actions are going to be. And sometimes you kind of look at your device and say, well, that's not going to work out. I also found some of the games, the pool of available actions kind of dwindles too much. You know, there's no more upgrade tiles to buy. Most, if not all, players have their 3-level bridges out. Now we're just kind of taking turns to finish off those monuments, which are kind of like the monument Patreon tokens to kind of speed up the game. And even though I have said a lot of negative things, there's still some things that bring me back to this game that I do enjoy. The achievements, having the energy bound there, and making sure you have the same bound energy on the board to make it a more valuable and fun puzzle. As you get your bridges out, you also get asymmetrical faction abilities, which can be useful. The monument patron tokens can help speed up the game. And I understand why they're there, but I'm not sure that they were the best implementation to kind of move that game along. I wish there was some other timer. And getting those conduit bonuses from your advancing action is always good to make your advancing action a little more interesting. Upgrading your basic actions. These are all fun things to do individually, but they just felt too sparse, and there were too many times when I felt I was just preparing for something fun to happen versus the actual fun stuff happening. So, would I recommend this game? I'm ultimately going to come down on the no side on this one. Now, I did like the production in this one. It definitely makes a presence when you get it all set up on the table. Whether it should be trimmed down to make it a little more user-friendly or useful may be an argument to be made. Now, I like that a lot of the individual elements of this game has. The achievements, the asymmetrical abilities that each player has, and the end-of-game scoring. Race to get achievements, puzzly aspect to short-term planning on your device to the longer-term planning of achievements or the end-of-game scoring. I liked when I was doing my major turn. Those were always so satisfying to pull off. But on the negative side, all that fun stuff was too far apart, and I don't like to feel bored while playing a game. And this one had me feeling that during many of my turns, and kind of even waiting for my turns. I just kind of felt bored. The game actually looks larger than it plays. The basics of the game are pretty straightforward, and I feel there was too much added to the game to try and convince you that this was a much deeper strategic game than it actually is. Overall, I'm going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. It just misses out on being a recommendation. Now, there is a good nugget of a game in here, and I think with some streamlining it would shine. But as it is, I find it just a bit dull. But that's it for the moment. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Hey folks, thanks for watching another one of our videos. If you like our videos, if you like our channel, you would love to game with us at one of our conventions. Check out Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower West. Fantastic conventions where we play games with wonderful people, a humongous library, and lots of other events and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our channel, like and subscribe. I'm Tom Bassel.